Alright, this is another video after the gym. I just finished a shoulder day. Really wanted to work on the mobility of it because shoulders are where I lack, so I had a full day for that. But once again, in the gym parking lot, I wanted to talk about something that's been weighing on my mind, and how, I want you to look at your family right now. Look at every single person and see, who do you look up to? Who do you want to live like, right? Who has your perfect life? And I mean without limitations as well. Think very big. Like, let's say, how much money do they make every single year? How much do they weigh? How tall are they? How much money can they make? Are things that are controllable, of course. Think of the person that you want to become. Is there anybody in your family that you genuinely just want their life, right? And so the answer is usually no, since the person that you're aiming to be is usually not the people around you, because if it was the people around you, you'd already be that person, right? What I'm kind of trying to get at here is how being around a certain set of people makes it so that you think, who the fuck? Being surrounded by certain people makes it so that you think a certain way like them. Like, for example, if your friend started saying a certain thing, a little catchy thing, you're going to start saying it, because us as humans, it's in our nature to mimic. It's in our nature to learn by copying, right? How do you think you learn how to talk? How do you think you learn how to speak English, Vietnamese, for my Asians out there, Korean, Japanese, Spanish? You've learned because your family speaks it, and so you just start speaking it as well. You learn by a young age. When you're younger, you're very impressionable, and that's why it's easier for you to pick up on things. And so we all don't know this, but subconsciously, our minds are always trying to learn. That's why every single thing a little person said, every single little thing a person says, it's registered in our mind. You can't really control it. And that's why your environment, it's not just your place, not the place you're at, it's the people you're around. And so the people that you are around dictate a lot about what your habits are and what you do and how you think, So think about it like this. There's a very popular phrase that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But people don't actually put that into account, right? They don't realize that if you think about it, every single person that you spend the most time with, you are creating your identity around that. Because if there's somebody that you are inspired by, there's somebody who you like, you're going to start adopting their mindset and the way they live, right? You're just going to add it into how you live. And so it's almost like some of you are allowing this to happen, You're allowing people to influence you. And it's the reason why you're not where you want to be, right? Everybody has their own choices. You're in control. You don't think so. And how can you be? I don't blame you. You don't even think you're being controlled, but you have the control to change that. Your environment dictates your habits, and your habits are going to dictate your future. So if you aren't doing things right now in congruence to the person you want to be, a big reason why is because your environment is trash. Look at every single family member that you have, right? I remember during New Year's when I had to see everybody and I just started going to the gym. I was still a super scrawny kid, but I was doing something about it. I started eating 5 meals a day. I started eating a lot of beef and steak, ground beef. And my parents especially saw how excessive it was that I was going to the gym 6 days a week, sometimes every single day. And I was doing all this. Of course, that's not optimal, right? You don't have to do all that, but I was still young. I had all the time in the world, and I wanted to spend it changing myself. But they were seeing that, And also my family members noticed this one New Year's. And of course, whenever we catch up, they're seeing what's new, right? Obviously, physically, it's been a couple weeks in the gym. You don't really look that different, right? They're not going to be like, oh, wow, you got jacked. All they know is the inputs that I'm doing. They know I'm going consistently. They know I'm eating this much. And of course, they have opinions. You know, that's how everybody is. So they're going to yap in your ear. And so what I was getting the most was, oh, you can't be eating red meat all the time. That's not good for you. You're going to get cancer. Oh, you can't be lifting that heavy. You're going to hurt yourself. Trust me, it's not worth it. Oh, you can't be spending all that time in the gym. Is that all you do? That's not very healthy. 4 to 5 meals, that's a lot. You have to have balance, right? All these things in which they aren't wrong. But it was enough for me to just stop my goals. And if I actually let them influence me into adopting their way of thinking, I would have never got in shape. You know, they wanted me to stay the same that I was, and I didn't like myself. And especially, they weren't people that I wanted to be like. I love them so much, but the nicest way possible, I didn't want to be like any of them. The person that I want to become, I have it so pictured in my mind, how much he weighs, what he does on a daily basis, how much he makes a year, everything, what physical condition he's in, what he's capable of doing, how he acts. I have it all mapped out, and none of them fit the description. So why would I listen to them? Right? But so much people that I know personally let everybody dictate the things that they do, and it's frustrating, you know, because I was a victim to this for the longest time. I was easily influenced. Everybody, like, I'm the type of person that is actually emotional. People can just say things. If I get inspired by them, or if I want to prove myself, which I've proven time and time again, I always have something to prove, and it's never going to work in my favor, right? Then I'm going to be influenced easily to try to prove myself, you know? Like, I can't extremely explain it, but that's the best way I can put it, you know? So anybody that I want to impress, I'm going to try to do that. And that makes it so I don't have the control, because later on I understood that the only opinion that matters is mine, right? This is my life. I'm doing things that I want to do, and I'm doing it to become the man I want to be. I don't want to fit into anybody's descriptions of who I should be. I don't want to become anybody other than that person that I have in my head, right? And so why would it make sense for me to let this happen? The first step in doing this is acknowledgement, right? You need to understand that this is a problem, right? Maybe you're okay with your friends. They only smoke sometimes, and they don't usually ask me, you know, they just smoke around me, right? But brother, don't tell me that every single day if you're hanging out with them, you're going to try to hit it once or twice, right? You're around that all of the time. You adopt the mindsets of people who smoke, right? And of course, you can become successful. I know a lot of people that are in business that smoke, vape, everything, right? They actually do hard drugs, and they're successful in that sense, right? Financially. But still, right? If the person that you want to become doesn't correlate to a person that smokes or has something like that, then stop letting them influence you, all right? Spend less time with them. I'm not telling you to cut them off, and I'm not telling you to be a dick. I'm telling you that you need to understand that the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you will be the 6th, all right? If you hang out with 5 smokers, drinkers, partiers, people who sleep around, you will be the 6th one. And I don't tell you this to be a dick and cut off your friends. I don't tell you this to isolate yourself, even though, I mean, a period of isolation is pretty efficient. I'm telling you this so that you can open your eyes, so that you can wake up and realize that you're the one that's in control, and you haven't been for a long time. Because if you're not the person you are, it's because you let your environment control you. It's either you control your environment or you let it control you. There's no in between. There's no balance. It's all about if you can become that man or not, right? And it's always going to take sacrifice. It takes sacrifice to become exceptional. You can't expect to have an exceptional physique, an exceptional income, an exceptional appearance, exceptional respect by exceptional people, right? You can't have that without making sacrifices, all right? You can't be above average if you do what the average does, all right? And the average is really good at influencing you to stay average. I love all my family, right? But if I were to listen to them, I wouldn't be the person I am right now, all right? Right now, nobody in my family thinks the way that I do, and I want to keep it that way. Because I have realized that it's so easy for me to just listen to what they want from me, right? It's hard to say no to the people that I love, of course. It's hard to say no, but I have to if I want to become somebody better for them, right? That's what it takes. They're never going to understand, but this is just how it's going to go. Nobody can avoid being influenced by anything, but it's about what you choose. We all mimic. We all take habits from other people, all right? We all try to copy in our way. Like, I guarantee you never had a original idea, and that's fine, all right? Maybe you have, but it stemmed from something. The way that you think right now is made up by your environment, the things that you feed yourself, the things that you consume online, and then that dictates your habits, right? I just made a video on habits, but this is the mind behind it, you know? And so it's all about what you choose. Are you choosing to consume by people you want to be like? Or are you choosing to let your environment control you, right? Genuinely ask yourself that. Because once you figure that out, that's when you're able to make a step into the right direction. I promise you. And so going back to what actually happened after that New Year's, it kind of just made me mad. Like, of course, I would have actually listened to them, but something stubborn about me knew that what they told me wasn't the path. I just didn't think that. And the only reason why I had the belief that it wasn't right was because I was able to have a weight training teacher in school that actually explained to me something that made even more sense. You know, this was where the foundation actually occurred. This was where all the limiting beliefs were destroyed, because the standard in there was bench pressing 100 pounds over our own body weight, having the waist of one quad, right? The size of your quad is the size of your waist. And then other things on top of that, right? All I know is that every single time that I showed up in there, it was possible for a skinny person like me to get absolutely jacked, right? But before that, if I listened to all my family, and I'm Asian, by the way, so I have a huge family, that would have discouraged me. That would have made me quit. Genuinely. The closest people to you may end up being your biggest haters, but strangers can literally be your biggest supporters. That's just how it is. And so I continued to make it easier for me to build the habit of what was aligned with the person I wanted to be, in which I was going to the gym, continue to eat my meals regardless, right? I was willing to do anything, and I put myself in environments that were aligned with that as well. Meaning I spent most of my time in the gym. I spent most of the time with the friends that actually wanted to join me in the journey. And that was a big part of my success. Because if you think you can do it by yourself, you can't, all right? It's always going to be faster with somebody else. If you want quick results, right? You can spend years doing it by yourself, but who wants to take that long? It can take a fraction of the time if you went with someone who was as motivated as you, as serious about it as you. And so my physique actually leveled up once I started going with someone who was better, you know? We bounced ideas back and forth. We always talked about the main journey that we were on, right? Nothing else. If it didn't help, then we didn't talk about it, right? Maybe we'd rift off to something else, but the main point is my environment was aligned with who I wanted to become. Because imagine if you didn't have that. Imagine if you continued to have people who thought a different way. Let's just go get drinks on Friday. Let's just play video games, bro. Let's just go on a 2-man, right? Bro, if you don't have time for that, if you know you should be doing something else, all they're doing is postponing you from becoming the man you have to be, right? That's all they're doing. These are distractions. And imagine how hard it is already on your own, right? But on top of that, you live in an environment, you're surrounded by people who are just making it harder for you, right? You love them, of course, but they're making it harder. And you need to have standards here, all right? So this is what I tell people. It's either you cut them off or you build the discipline to not let them influence you. And this is harder. Look at your life. I challenge you to really look at your life and see what's stopping you, what's holding you back. The people who are letting you waste tons of time, if it's anything that isn't getting you to that man you want to be, it's a waste of time, genuinely. That's how much dedication it takes. But yeah. I'm glad to say that I have a community that knows that I'm all about just fitness. And we're all trying to work together to get better. We're all pushing ourselves. I'm giving out the information, they're implementing it, and we're all succeeding. You know, we're all chasing our dream physiques, right? Right now I'm okay, but I can get better. And we're all continuously doing that together. And I love that. You can't be balancing things. You can't. It's very hard. I hope this video was insightful. I feel like this was something that I would have had to hear, right? Because I'm an extremely lenient person. I let people, like, I tell myself that I'm a easygoing guy, but an easygoing guy gets pushed around. That's just the reality of it. And so I hope this was helpful to at least one of you. I hope this makes it so that you look at your life and see where your energy is going to. And if it's going to the wrong things, it's your responsibility only to do something about it, right? I love all of you. I hope all of you truly change your lives. If you like this, like it, subscribe, comment what you thought, comment what your next steps are after this video. And I love to read it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.